We are back. We're headed to Omaha in just a second, and I don't mean to put any words in John Wilkerson's mouth. However, and I haven't talked to him about it, I'll guarantee you two things. Number one, he's having a blast out there as the radio play-by-play voice of University of Tennessee baseball. And this is one of those times where if he were honest, he's probably sitting there going, does it get any better than this? So let's bring him up. Let's go to Omaha. John, in the play-by-play world, does it get any better than this?
Well, it hasn't yet for me, simply for the fact that Tennessee's 2-0, first time ever in the history of the program in the College World Series. And they did so in two so different ways, with the 4 runs in the bottom of the ninth to beat Florida State on Friday, and then last night just really 3-run home run solo shot to beat North Carolina 6-1. So they've beaten the two best teams on their side, and they're now going to wait whoever that emerges from the elimination game. So for me, it's never been better than this.
I believe it. Now, don't ever say, yeah, they wouldn't even have to pay me now to do this. But there are times in a play-by-play announcer's life where it is so good that you kind of sit there and go, oh, my God. I mean, I remember having that feeling about to do an NCAA basketball tournament game where I'm like, man, this is what I grew up wanting to do. And I'll bet you've had that thought out there.
Just to watch this team compete the way it has this year, doing things that I didn't think they would be able to match from the 2022 season, when they were arguably the best team in the country, but they didn't make it to the College World Series. And for this team to exceed all of that, they've now matched that team with a win total of 57. And once more, no Tennessee team has ever done this. And while you have to guard against hyperbole and, oh, what just happened, I think the win Friday night might jump to the top of the list in regards to any Tennessee baseball victory at any point in time. Obviously, that could change depending on how deep this run goes. But I think for right now, Christian Moore hitting for the cycle, Tennessee rallying from down 5 and then down 4. I just think that Friday night was really something that will stand the test of time in terms of one of the greatest victories in the history of Tennessee baseball.
Billy, do we want to hear if John was having fun? This is the game-winning call Friday night that beat Florida State.
Tennessee 11, Florida State 11. Check of the runner at second. Pitch by Holtz. Pitch line in the air towards center field, towards left center field. That ball gonna get down. Dylan Dreiling has done it. The comeback is complete. Blake Burke scores from second, and Tennessee walks it off. 4 runs in the bottom of the ninth. This is a team you just can't count out. 4th run batted into the ball game. And Tennessee, with 4 in the bottom of the ninth, rises up to take down Florida State. It's 4 runs for the Big Orange. On 5 hits, 2 men left. The run batted in for Dylan Dreiling is his 67th on the season, and none bigger from the sophomore from Hays, Kansas. Family and friends in attendance for the heroics. Tennessee 12, Florida State 11. The Volunteers say hello win column for the 56th time. This one belongs to the Big Orange, and this is Tennessee baseball.
John, you went Marty Brenneman on me. I love it.
I got a touch excited.
Was there ever a point Friday night where you maybe kind of said, I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to happen?
Well, you take a look at just how the game unfolded. You're down 9-4. You get a home run. You get another home run. You're now within 2. They come back, and I mean, George Kelly, you know that once a team answers that makes it even more difficult. So a 2-out, 2-run double makes it 11-7. And you're thinking, well, that might have been the knockout blow. But as long as the mathematics serve this Tennessee team a foot in the door, just for the fact that it's possible they're going to compete to the bitter end, just like several teams here. I mean, North Carolina, who they played last night, 5 of the last 9 wins for the Tar Heels lasted back. So you have to be that kind of good to be here. And Tennessee certainly has that capability. And that's why, sure, I thought it looked dim, but as long as the math works out and you think this is possible, and they did get it back to Christian Moore at the top of the order, Blake Burke, Billy Amick, and Dylan Dreiling to follow, that's where the chances just started to creep up in the Vols' favor.
Hey, John, before we go any farther with the actual stuff that's gone on, I've been to Omaha once. I went with Vandy in 2015 when they lost in the final game to Virginia, but the trip was incredible. Kind of tell people who aren't able to make it just how good this experience is.
It is marvelous. And I was blessed enough to be a part of 3 trips to Rosenblatt Stadium. And then it was a long span between College World Series appearances. So it was 3 at the old Rosenblatt Stadium. And now this is the 3rd for Tennessee at Charles Schwab Field. And the thing is, you have a community that simply lives for this. There's much more to Omaha than the College World Series, but this is one of the true celebrations of their backyard. And so they love to be host. They should never not be host. And I think that they show all kinds of support. You've got so many friendly people that can't wait to entertain all fan bases that arrive. But it is truly a magical experience. If you've been to the SEC tournament in Hoover, just think of that, but take it up a couple of good notches. Because it really is such a celebration of baseball, and specifically a celebration of college baseball. And this is a sport that is growing by leaps and bounds.
Hey, give me, before I turn it over to Kelly, a thought or two about Drew Beam last night, who just looked lights out.
Sure did. Set down the first 11 that he faced. And where it had been a recent hiccup for Drew was that second time through the order. It kind of bit him against Mississippi State down in the SEC tournament when there were a couple of borderline calls that didn't go Tennessee's way. And so that was a back and forth affair. Happened again after an outstanding start against Evansville in the Super Regional. But again, second time through, that's when the Purple Aces got to him. Without a doubt, Drew Beam has been such a rock for this Tennessee team, and now 3 years wearing the orange and white. But as Coach Tony Vitello talked about, he went out, he threw the ball with conviction, and he was so locked in. So when there was a bit of a hiccup, Tennessee was able to get out of it, and he really was as good as we've seen Drew Beam perhaps be this season, and how he held and had the defense behind him play some outstanding ball, held North Carolina to just 1 run.
John, the only person having as good a time as you are is that guy in the middle, Kelly Holcomb. He, this morning, became a grandfather.
How about that? Congratulations.
I appreciate it. I did. I hope I don't look like a granddad just yet. I don't know if I feel like one just yet, but hey, it's here. It is here. My daughter went into labor a couple of days ago, and then this morning she delivered a bouncing baby boy. So everything was good. We were all happy.
Future quarterback?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to get a golf club in his hand. I've told him to put a golf club in his hand. You know, let's quit messing around with all the other stuff and let's go play golf. That's kind of where I'm at.
That's right. So then it'll be grandfather / caddy.
That's fine. I'll be his caddy. I'll go anywhere. I'll do it. It doesn't matter. I got to stay moving. So, hey, John, let me ask you this. I asked Tony Basilio about this, and I want to get what your thoughts. You know, you do baseball, you do basketball. Has there ever been a better time to be a UT sports fan? I mean, football's booming, baseball's booming, basketball's really good. You know, the women are kind of down, but you got all the other sports that are doing well. Is this like the golden era of UT sports?
Boy, I really think it has a chance to do that. I think the only thing missing from this age right now compared to the mid to late 90s are national championships. And I mean, you're competing. You take a look at for instance, the swim team had 2 top 10 finishes. First time that's happened in about 20 years. You had the rowing team finish 3rd in the national championships. You had the Lady Vols tennis team finish in the Final 4. So I think the only thing missing from the equation are national titles. But without a doubt, I mean, Tennessee made their respective tournament/championships in every sport this year. That's never happened. So I do think when you look at the sustained success across the board with every program, yes, this is the best time to be a Tennessee Volunteer or Lady Vol. But in terms of, I would still point to the 90s as the heyday, because you had national championships with the Lady Vols and Pat Summitt. You had a national championship with Coach Philip Fulmer. So I think that's the only thing missing from this equation that would nose it right in front. But as far as all boats rising, they are certainly doing that.
If you look baseball wise at this lineup, is there any weakness from 1 to 9? Is there any weakness on this in this hitting group? I mean, the other night that was amazing. I sat up and watched that game, and it was amazing. You know, the Blake Burke call could have gone either way. So I don't, and I said something to George about it. And if there's always a question, you give it to the batter, but it could have been called a strike too. And we could be talking about something different. So it just kind of seems like it's going Tennessee's way, but is there a weakness in that 1 through 9, John?
I'd say the bottom third of the order has probably been the least consistent, but they have the ability. We've seen, for instance, Reese Chapman, his first hit in Omaha was a home run. He was the designated hitter last night after Dalton Bargo got the start there against Florida State. You've got the 9 hitter, Cal Stark. His batting average is around 220, but he has 10 home runs, and he's got a pair of grand slams on a team that has the second most grand slams in any one season. And then you also look at Dean Curley, freshman shortstop. He's batting 7th. He's hit 3 home runs this NCAA tournament, and he's had a run batted in each of Tennessee's 2 games thus far out here in the College World Series. So you don't have the consistent pop and flash in the bottom third of the order, but that doesn't mean they can't come up with a big play. And of course, you also have those guys. Cal Stark, of course, led the SEC and still continues to lead the SEC in runners picked off with 6. Dean Curley turned an impressive 6-3 double play and then caught a line drive with a stab to his right to end the inning when it looked like Carolina might be trying to rally. So I do think there's a reason they're on the field, but they might not have the eye-popping numbers, video game numbers that so many of the other members of the lineup have. So I do think at times there can be stretches where you can have pockets of success if you're the other side, but also at some point in time, the adjustments made, the battles that might not be won at that time are going to be won later. So that would be the one thing I would point to. They're not as consistent as the others, but boy, they have the capability, that's for sure.
So you guys are sitting in the catbird seat in bracket 1. You get to watch the games tomorrow, and you don't have to play till Wednesday. You get to set this one out. But, you've already beat Florida State, North Carolina. Is there a team that you think that they would rather, they had that classic game against Florida State where they had to come back. Who would you rather play?
Boy, that's a really good question, and it might be pick your poison, because North Carolina is looked at as the best team in the ACC this year. I don't think they have the pop that Florida State has. At the same time, I don't think Florida State has the pitching that Carolina has, although Tennessee did a really nice job getting after the Tar Heels bullpen last night. So I do think it's an either or. I'll say this. I do think that Tennessee would be matched up better against North Carolina, its pitching and its lineup, as opposed to Florida State, which I think Tennessee would be up to the challenge whoever emerges. But I do think Florida State is the team out of the 2 that would probably have the best chance to win its way out of the loser's bracket.
You talked about the 2022 team, and everybody thought it was, they were going to Omaha, and then they get beaten the Super Regional by Notre Dame. What makes this team so special? Is it the experience that I think they gained a lot of experience when they lost that game? I really do, and I think these guys feel more at home. They feel more comfortable. But what makes this team so special, John?
Well, I do think, you have a good handful of guys that were on that 2022 team. It just wasn't their team. Christian Moore and Blake Burke were alternating back and forth as the designated hitter. Each wound up with double-digit home runs. But they know what that experience was like. Drew Beam was a part of that team as well. So I think there are enough guys that were on hand to see that squad come up short. And I just really love how this team doesn't have any concern for what they just did, and they don't have any care for what might happen next. It's all about what's in front of them. And so today they're going to practice, and they're going to practice hard. They're going to do it again tomorrow as they prep for whoever emerges from that first game on the schedule between the Seminoles and the Tar Heels. So I just think that they don't have a long memory. I mean, the way they went out and took care of business against North Carolina, it would have been so easy to get wrapped in. And can you believe what we just did in our first game in Omaha? But it was time to just get after the Tar Heels and face a completely different set of challenges. I think they look at each day as square one. It's not a pass, go, collect $200 in Monopoly. It's like it's the start of a brand new game. And I think that approach serves this group well, and just such a mature way that they approach every opportunity.
So my last thing, John, and George has already asked you some questions, but what is the coolest thing about Omaha? Because I can remember watching that back in the day at Rosenblatt Stadium, and I know they're in a different stadium now, which is really cool. I'm sure it's the latest and greatest, but what is the coolest thing about Omaha to you?
Well, there are a couple of things that stand out. One, it's how many families are here. I mean, you do have great fans that are here, whether it's somebody that here by themselves or just a group of buddies or friends that make this a journey and or experience. But there are so many families here. And after Tennessee punched its ticket from the Super Regional to Omaha, that was one of the things Tony Vitello said more than once in his post-game remarks, and that was, there's nothing like celebrating Father's Day in Omaha. And you see that. I mean, it's such a game. It's special to all that are fans, obviously, but then there's that special link. You can go back to Field of Dreams, which isn't that far from here. But anyhow, you just have that special connection that so many times the game is passed down. So again, that's part of the celebration, the appreciation. And that's what I think lifts this above all other experiences, because that's what it is. Everybody's welcome to be a part, to hang out and enjoy the action. And even when teams get eliminated, it's still, we appreciate your coming and hope you'll be back soon again. So I can't think of a better place to end your season. And that's why this championship experience might be above all others, simply for the fact that everything is just going to be in the national spotlight, because all eyes turn to Omaha every summer.
Okay, two stupid questions on my end, but I know I'm going to get asked this. If you all close the deal Wednesday afternoon, do you stay out there or do you all fly back to Knoxville?
Stay put. You're out here for the duration. So it would be, if it's 2 days off now, today and tomorrow, play again Wednesday. You win Wednesday, 2 days again. You're off Thursday and Friday, and you play Saturday in game one of the championship series. But you'll stay put.
Okay. That's where I screwed up, because in the old days, it was the finals were a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So now they're going Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Correct.
That was an even dumber question than it sounded like at the beginning. Okay, so here comes dumb question number 2, piggybacking off Kelly's deal. If you get in, and I think Tennessee's going to the final round, if you had the choice and you personally could pick, we're playing Kentucky or we're playing A&M, which one would you pick?
Wow, that's a great question. Tennessee took 2 out of 3 against Kentucky at their place. Tennessee won just the one meeting against Texas A&M in the SEC tournament in an elimination game. I think Kentucky is the better team between the two, top to bottom, especially when you consider that A&M just unfortunately lost their leading RBI man to a just unfortunate ankle injury. He's with the team now, but he's not going to play again. So I think that Kentucky is the team in better shape to do it. But I'll be interested to see how that game goes tonight, because they didn't meet this year. This is the first time that Kentucky and Texas A&M square off this season. So both can do so much damage. I think the greater challenge comes from Kentucky, because they can do it any number of ways, and they've shown that. This is an impressive team for their first ever trip to Omaha, and they were able to shake off a couple of setbacks and walk it off in extra innings to make it the 3rd straight game that was a walk-off win to start this year's World Series. But I think Kentucky, top to bottom, is playing its best baseball, and I think they are more challenging because they love to run, they love to put pressure on the opposing defense, and they do that well.
First of all, soak all this in. Have a blast with this, because it doesn't get any better than this.
Without a doubt. And I just love watching this team compete. They're amazing in the sense that, again, they're just so they're not bothered at all by what they are doing. They're so unimpressed with where they are right now because, again, it's the task isn't finished, the job isn't done. And so once they take a step in the right direction, it's now how do we take the next step? So it is such a businessman approach. And at the same time, I think they're having a blast because they know this is their last ride together as a group, as it is with any one team. It's never going to be the exact same no matter what happens. So I think they're really enjoying this, and they're working to make this a trip as long as it can last.
Well, I just hope you packed enough clothes. Have fun with this, and don't be shocked if we call you again.
Anytime, George. And Kelly, I did want to point out there are a couple of connections here. I was fortunate to call the high school games for great Blue Raider quarterback Chase Cunningham. And so Chase, one of my all-time favorites for Knoxville Catholic. And then also, as I look for something that I could point to for you other than your incredible passing game that unfortunately took place in a loss while you're with the Browns, I did find this. You can raise your hand if you have a birthday on July 9th.
Oh, wow. That's awesome, John. Nice. I like it. July 9th, baby. I'll be 51. How about yourself?
He doesn't need to answer that.
I want to put him on the spot.
Kelly, when they came into town to play Vandy back in May, I went in John's booth. I said, next time I see you, let's exchange AARP cards.
Good
John,
stuff.
Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely, George. Kelly, always great to talk to you.
Talk to you soon. Good luck.